Hello, and welcome back to Filter Optional. I am Chico West.
And I'm Shannon West.
And today, once again, we're Casa Colina Production.
Yes.
Once again, you can hear us on iTunes under Filter Optional. You can watch us on Facebook live
on Mondays at 10, and then after
you can watch
it anytime you want to.
Yes, just go to the Casa Colina Facebook page and watch us there,
or on YouTube at the Casa Colina Treatment.
Coming
YouTube
soon
page.
to Spotify if that's your thing.
Oh yeah,
that is
that's
my
our kids'
thing.
things.
That is Spotify. I'm glad. When did you decide to do that, Kevin?
Just recently, because I've been a provider for a long time for Apple, and now I want to make sure that I have, because the big Android platform is Spotify, and Apple users use it too. So I want to make sure we get on there.
Yes, I like that. In last week, episode, we talked about, hey, if you like us, give us a 5 on iTunes.
Right, yes.
We like those, and if you really want to do something, do reviews, share our link. Mm-hmm. What we do here in our podcast, me being the no filter, you being the filter, that's what we call it, Filter Optional.
Yes.
And so today
Chico might especially be unfiltered because he's been taking steroids because he has a cold and he's been sick, and so he hasn't slept, so I haven't slept, so we're all a little sleep deprived.
This could be a good one.
Yes,
exactly.
I was up at 3 a.m. sending emails.
Yes,
I took 40 milligrams of prednisone yesterday. I did it again this morning. I'm kind of amped up.
A little extra juice.
Yeah, and lest you forget, I had to take it for 2 years.
Yes, you did take it for 2 years.
And
that was
you didn't feel
4
sorry
years
for me.
ago.
You didn't feel
That was not 5 years ago, Kevin.
Yeah, Shannon didn't sleep for 2 years.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
You didn't feel sorry for me then, so I don't feel sorry for you now.
And today's been a pretty packed day.
It has.
We have a guest in the studio. We haven't had a guest for a while.
Yeah.
It's been you and I having the dialogue, but I'm glad we have a guest that can add to the dialogue.
Agreed.
We brought our buddy in. He's doing some consulting work for us at Casa Colina. So I want to introduce Jamie Vance. Jamie, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And so, tell us about what you're going to help us out with at Casa Colina.
So I think really what I do is I'm a marketing consultant, but a little different because I kind of jump in and become a team member. And really, everybody when they start a company, they have a vision, and they have a vision for what they want that to be. They have a vision for where they want to get to. I jump in and help them realize that vision. I help them realize their message, move towards that, through a lot of different ways of finding their target audience and going towards that and, implementing behaviors that, day by day, get you to that result. I have a lot of fun doing it.
It is. And it's been exciting because I've known you, off and on through the years,
right.
At conferences. You were at Cumberland Heights for a long time.
10 years, yeah.
Then you were at Journey Pure. So,
yeah.
I mean, you've been all over doing stuff. I like where you're taking your skill set and really kind of starting this consulting, but you feel now part of the Casa Colina team.
Right.
Just we had some conversations before you came out to Dallas today. Mm-hmm. You talked to Caleb, our business development rep. You spent some time with Shannon, my wife, that's doing it as well. And you feel like today you spent the time out at Casa Colina and just really got into being one of the team members.
Yeah, I just really enjoy what I do. I've worked for companies for, ever, and it's great. It was awesome, and I've been a part of, growing a lot of really great companies and had some great leaders and great teammates. It's been incredible. One of the things that I really like about what I get to do today is that I get to show up and not deal with anything else but the best part of me, so I get to bring that into companies and bring the things that, I know and kind of, work with them and I have a coaching style anyways. And so it's easier to get in and work with the team and have a good time and roll up your sleeves. So I enjoy it.
Definitely. What'd you get out of your time today with Jamie?
I think it's great because I think when Chico relayed your initial conversation about this. I mean, you all have had conversations in the past, obviously, because you know each other, but specifically pertaining to what you were going to do at Casa, all I kept hearing was just the like-minded, like, Jamie says it's about relationships and whatever. And that was the first that I've heard from any business development person or somebody that would want to come in and help us. No one's ever mentioned relationships off the top. They're like meetings and calls and swag. Like, what swag do you have, or
What conferences are you going to?
What conferences are you going to, or what dinners are you offering, or whatever. But no one. And when according to Chico, it's like you kind of mentioned relationships first. It's like that's what it's always been about for us. And so I knew at that time that you would help us realize our vision, because we've always said on this podcast, everything, that it's our ministry as well as our business. And while we want people's business, we want people's lives to be changed and be better. And I'm very encouraged by just this short time. I think that we can accomplish that.
Yes, and that it's wild when you say that, is because we want people's business, but I like what you said, the second part. We want people's lives to be changed. Casa Colina, we're 22 beds. We're a small program.
Well, right, which is why we always try to, talk about collaboration, which takes a relationship. So you have to have the relationships and the collaboration. There's his cough. Are we going to get that the whole time?
Well, did you see me covered up?
I know.
I did it. I mean, that was
poor
pretty
Chico.
good.
I'll watch when you cover it up. I'll turn you down real
Yeah,
quick.
Chico doesn't feel good.
I would.
It's okay.
What's that move and that dance move?
The dab.
The dab. But you're right, Jamie. That's what you brought. I mean, just our initial conversation. I knew a lot of people that you knew. We knew each other, but today I really feel like I got to know you. You have 4 kids. You're committed with your wife. How you want to build into your children too, but you want to build relationships. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
And I like how you were talking about your dad earlier, and how he instilled kind of that hard work in you. What were you telling us about you were up in the falls and stuff? So you have some Texas roots.
Well, yes, and so I came by the addiction treatment field organically, you could say, and my father has been a huge influence in my life, and he's sold John Deere tractors my whole life, and so I was able to, really learn a lot about what real sales is like, and effective sales, and people often have a conception of what that might be. And, I would go up to his office when I was younger, and he'd be in his office arguing with farmers. And I was like, well, how is that going to get anything done? You're not supposed to argue with them. And it was because they trusted him so much that he could speak to them truthfully. And he
What was
gained
your
their
dad's
trust.
name? Or is
his name's Tommy.
Tommy Vance?
Yeah, Tommy Vance Sr. Yeah.
So that's cool. So Tommy, I'm texting a buddy that sold John Deere.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chico, this is where his ADD.
My ADD.
No, I get it. I get it.
told you not to.
But Pat Clint showed Tommy, John
Tommy
Deere
Vance,
forever,
yes.
and I'm going, do you know Tommy Vance?
He's pretty well known, even out here in Texas and around. So, when I was probably 18 years old, he sent me out to Texas with one of his friends, and I became a custom harvester for about 3 years, because he knew that I was too knuckleheaded to send me to college at the time. So he sent me out for a little good dose of hard work, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So
and see,
one of the best.
I like that. And you said you started working at a real young age. Your
Yeah.
dad instilled that, and you got that hunger out there for
Yeah,
sure.
and I think that's one of the things that, and I often have this talk with clients. There's one thing that, okay, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. Now you have to go do the plan.
Yeah.
And I can, speak till I'm blue in the face and have great ideas, but, I won't fool you. Without some elbow grease, nothing gets done. And so, that's one of the things I do, is really walk alongside of people while they're doing the work, and make sure that the work's getting done. But, and I tell them, I said, this is the plan. if you don't like the plan, let's just change the plan. But, you need to follow a plan, and you have to, set forth and go out and try to get some things accomplished. You'll feel good about it.
Yeah, well, and I think this can apply to any area of life. I mean, you need a plan if you're in recovery. And when you graduate, you need a plan in life. Like, I mean, my college student needs a plan for his, he has a counselor that gives him a plan. I need a plan. Everybody needs a plan.
Well,
Right.
And
both,
so
both our boys
there's-
play sports. They have a plan on their their.
So a lot of times when we talk
Yeah,
on
you
this,
don't walk out on the field without a plan.
right? And so a lot of times on this podcast, we talk about how people listen sometimes and they're like, how is this going to relate to me? Talking about marketing a treatment center or whatever. But I think that it's valid when you talk about your history with your dad and your dad sending you out and doing the hard work. But everybody needs a plan. So it's nice to, you're kind of bringing to light to me why people might need a life coach. I quite frankly have never really considered, like you said, coaching is your natural
It's style.
and
I've had a coach for the last 8 or 10 years.
and I have to say that I was a little bit skeptical about life coaches, and I hate to say that because I have some friends that are life coaches, and so I kind of feel terrible confessing that, but I can see a real valid use of that right now.
No,
as a
it's huge. I'll tell you, being a guy that's been sober, for so long, had treatment centers, done, all this stuff. I was successful, with my old venture, the Gaston House, and and Casa's doing well, but we needed someone to come in that had outside eyes. I've done consulting for other treatment centers.
Sure.
And
Right.
there was a part of my pride going, hey, do I call Jamie? But we needed help. My voice wasn't being heard. I like it because you and I have this like-minded approach. I like the whole idea that this can go for any industry. So if you're out there not even looking at treatment or whatever you're
Right,
saying
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
is bringing in a consultant doesn't mean anything. There's something wrong with it.
No, right. And it's a good time of year, I think, to look at it as we've talked about, the new year and renewing things and making your life better. This is just another, way to make your life better, richer, and,
Well, and
not monetarily.
and
but-
also looking at success.
Yes.
How do we define success? And so, at Casa, what were some of the things you got to spend the day with us? What was some good and bad? We're willing to put them both on the table here at Casa.
Absolutely. I think that one of my biggest challenges, and I wrote an article about this a few weeks ago. It was called, Guaranteed Success for 2020 or Your Misery Back. And one of the things...
I like that title.
Yeah, it is because, and this comes from working in organizations and I've seen it some in consulting, but I work with individuals, I work with companies, and it doesn't have to be, it's the same principles, right, across the board. It's, I want to grow my company. And usually, when you want to grow yourself, personal growth, who's in the way? You are.
Yes.
So
Right.
same with your company. Who's in the way? Probably you.
Right.
Who's in, same for me. And, one of the biggest challenges is coming in. I don't know why people, would pay for this, but coming in and, they think they have it down already. And so they don't follow the direction. They don't, they're not willing to follow a plan. The most important thing, I think, is to be at kind of a place of willingness to be open, like you said.
A leap of faith, because
Right.
you can't think that, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to try it.
Yeah.
I think at least.
Because if you don't even put forth the effort with the plan, it's
Yeah.
it's a waste of money.
Yeah, constantly second guessing. We run into that a little bit, but moreover, when you walk in and the culture is not, well, I would say it's not well. It's got some sickness or people don't want to address things. One of the number one killers of a company that I've ever seen is just, inability to have conflict within the organization and poor communication. And you'll see that it's amazing if you think back over your professional life, how many processes and things have been killed because, one person thought this and the other person thought that, or there was a problem, and, so on and so forth. And I see that a lot.
I've been really getting into the last probably 3 to 6 months, Brene Brown stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And she has in Dare to Lead, in that book, just talking about daring leaders, she talks about rumbling in the vulnerability.
Yeah.
I love that concept.
Right.
Listen with the same intent you want to be heard.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we're creating that at Casa Colina.
Yeah, and so to your question, I mean, what I saw, I really honestly, and this is not flattery, I'm pretty straightforward and just kind of don't care, but I didn't see anything that was like, wow, this is bad. I saw nothing bad. And there's always that I saw opportunity because, yes, were things where there are areas that, could have improvement in, of course. But if that's met with good leadership and, a good team, well, that's only opportunity. When it's a negative is when there's bad things and you don't see them and you're not willing to look at it.
Blind spots.
And or, I always have a mentor that says the only problem you can't fix is the one you're not willing to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to have that problem. Say, yeah, we're not doing well in this area, so we definitely could do it. But when you walk in, I think it's Patrick Lencioni refers to it as a culture of inquisitiveness versus a culture of inquisitiveness versus advocacy. So say, for instance, you walk into a meeting. We walk into a meeting and I say, Chico, what about your business development? And you say, do we do a good job in business development? Are we doing well enough? You start to inquire. You start to ask questions, and your team does the same thing, and that's an okay thing. Well, obviously, you're going to find the areas you need to change, and you're going to change it. But if it's advocacy and you walk in, you say, hey, what about our business development? And one teammate might say, well, we had a bad month last month, but we're doing this. You can never get anywhere like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's the defending and stuff like that. But so you can apply that to families. You have 4 kids. We're all about, I like the inquisitiveness, or what I like to call curiosity.
Sure.
How do we get curious? What do we need to improve? What's going on?
Right.
What are the blind spots we have if it comes to business development or clinical services or whatever.
Being a parent,
whatever. Being a spouse.
Yes.
I mean, 24 years. She has a lot of blind spots.
Yeah, we could get my wife on speakerphone, and she could tell you, I don't have any blind spots.
Yeah,
I'm just cruising. I'm doing great.
Chico doesn't either. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, do I?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes, I have lots of blind spots, but it's good. I like that. I like that. That model, that inquisitive. Okay, where can we learn?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not learning, I mean, in some ways, I'm dying.
Right.
Well, you don't want to be stuck. You have to figure out how to get unstuck.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of companies and organizations that are stuck, and it's kind of that definition of insanity. Everybody keeps doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and it takes somebody to come in and say, okay, let's get unstuck. And
what I
change
usually
something.
find is that people think that they have to do more.
When you might not have to do
You
more.
actually, most of the time, almost all the time, I see that you actually can do less when you do the right things and stop doing the wrong things.
Right.
It's like stop spending time on things that aren't generating revenue. Because oftentimes nobody wants to raise their hand, and so they just start being busy.
Yes.
And so we're doing a lot of the wrong behaviors, just waiting for the lucky day when the result comes. It's not going to. But if we stop and hit the timeout and really evaluate what we're doing,
Right.
start doing the right stuff, we get a better result.
I had such a dad moment last night. I was doing the wrong thing.
I'm glad you're admitting it. Go ahead.
I am going to admit it. You know, our son went over to his girlfriend's house. He's 16. We tried to call him. It's, you know, finally at 10 o'clock, you know, he said his phone was plugged in.
No, it was 9:30 when I texted him, and then I didn't hear back. And it was 9:45 when I texted his brother because he can track him. We don't track our kids, but Travis tracks him on Snapchat or whatever. So I texted Travis and I said, "Where's your brother?" And so he sent me a screenshot of Beck's phone, and it was at his girlfriend's house, and has a battery power like screenshot of Beck's phone. Is that crazy, Kevin?
I never heard of that.
I know. And so it was on yellow, which is under 20% at 9:45, and Beck called me at like 9:46 and said, I'm sure Travis blew him up somehow, but he said, "Mom, my phone was dead, and so it was on the charger away from me, and I just lost track of time. I'm on
And
my
so
way."
he got home
He
at
said, "I'm
10
on my way now
o'clock,
home."
and
Yeah.
we're in our bedroom.
But his story kind of checks out.
It checks out.
I mean,
But I just, you know, I tried to make my point 5 times in a row.
oh my God.
And it was like, okay, how many times are you going to say the same thing to me?
No, he said, "Dad, are you going to beat a dead horse?"
Yes.
I said, "Okay."
I said, okay. And he was right. And I said, you know what? You're right. I did admit it
I know, I know.
after that. And so it was.
I just had lots of spousal thoughts next to you because we were in bed already, and I'm thinking, oh, how many times has he told me I beat a dead horse? I'm just so good at beating a dead horse.
I just think it's great that he could say that. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
what a safe, you know, somebody, a 18-year-old guy the other day asked me, it was interesting. I've never, you know, he said, "How do you be a good dad?" I was like, I'm not really sure if I know, you know,
Yeah.
but one thing that I try to do, you know, as a parent is when I'm wrong, say I'm wrong, you know,
Yeah.
and try to have that, you know, environment where my kids aren't scared of me, you know.
I think
and
that's-
I love
yeah.
my son he'll say, you know, "Dad, you seem frustrated, you know, what's up?" You know, they can talk to me, you know, and they're not just like, "Here's Daddy," and
And we want
everybody's
that
silent.
safe place for our kids,
Right.
our families, our that's the deal. But also, I want that safe place for our organization.
Absolutely.
You know, and so it's like, how do we continue to have those safe places? So
And
last-
admit when you're wrong. You're good at that,
Yeah,
Chico.
and
I mean, you
last
do
night-
that.
well, thank you.
I didn't mean that like.
Yeah.
I didn't mean like. Yeah, you're really good at that because you are wrong a lot. But
No, but I am wrong a lot.
did-
And a lot of times the reason I'm wrong is because I'm usually tired, you know.
Well, yes.
If I'm not spiritually fit, I'm going to be
yeah.
a little snappy.
Yeah.
If I don't get up, we talked about that on one of the podcasts last
Yes.
time. Like this past week, we talked about restlessness. You know, and when I'm restless, I can be snappy with you, with our boys,
Yeah.
with my employees, all those things. It's like, how do I get out of? Okay, it's all right. Admit that. Hey, it's a great thing. I am excited about you being here. I want to tell you that on our
thank you so
Facebook
much.
Live.
I'm honored.
I'm
Yes.
excited that you're part of the Casa Kalina team. You know, I'm
Part of the crew.
You know, I've been trying not to use the word excited so much because I found listening to my podcast that I say that often.
You're an
Yes.
excited guy. That's
I'm
good.
an
know,
excited guy. I'm fired
You're
up,
on
and
steroids.
especially because
I'm
I'm on
elated.
prednisone.
Yeah.
But it's great to say, okay, hey, we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I like that you said we can do less.
Yeah.
You said a lot of the same things that would take me a lot longer to say to Caleb or to Shannon.
Right.
And you chunked down those ideas that I had.
Right.
You know, it's like I do have a brand script. You know, you
Sure.
were kind of talking about that narrative and
Yeah.
those kind of things. It's like I have that. I haven't. I sometimes go on too long. Maybe that's why I like this podcast,
Yeah.
because I like to hear myself
Well,
talk.
and that's a great point. You know, and Shannon and I were talking about that earlier. You know, and you know, it's like I train jujitsu, and I asked my professor, you know, how do I get better at jujitsu? Time on the mat. You know, it's pretty, there's, and that's it. It's that I don't have any answers. That most of the work that I ever do with anybody, it involves kind of evoking things that are already within them. They already know it. You fundamentally know these things, but it's that, and I've led teams, for a long extended period of time. So I've had to, in order to be an efficient leader, kind of capsule these modules down to very explainable things. And so I can just teach it quick, a lot of it is just being able to explain something in a couple sentences, but you guys have a great brand, you have these things, and it's just, breaking it down and focus.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And see, some of that is I like it too, in the sense that you're giving us some direction. So for any of us, you're giving us direction for Casa Colina, but other people need direction in other areas of their life. And here's another platform that I want to kind of throw out there. It's all right to ask for help, and sometimes help costs money, and it's good to pay for that.
I saw a Facebook meme on the way in here, and I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not validating it. But, it said that LeBron James spent over $1 million in personal development in, 2019. I have no idea if that's true.
Right.
But what I can tell you, that I've met a lot of very successful people, extremely. And I've never seen anybody maintain success for an extended period of time that didn't have a team surrounding them.
Yeah.
Take Conor McGregor, for example, just won his fight in the UFC the other day.
Yeah, it cost me $1 a second for the
Right.
fight.
Yeah, exactly. I paid for it too. I just watched it on my headphones because I'm a fan. I mean, my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I'm a fan. But I'll be honest, I wasn't a big Conor McGregor fan for a little while. It wasn't jiving with me. And, I thought, wow, this is a different guy. What's up? And the way that, I'm a big enthusiast in martial arts and stuff like that.
Jiu-jitsu, like you said.
Yes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I watched him go out there. I was like, that was brilliant. The movement, the strategy, the shoulder check, all of that was just brilliant. Against, he beat, a pretty good Muay Thai fighter in a clinch. That was amazing. And then I saw Anthony Robbins standing next to him.
Oh,
and I was like, there we go.
Yeah.
He's got a coach, He realized maybe that there are some areas that the mental game, which is the most important, needed some help with. And he got the best mental game coach in the world, Tony Robbins.
That is wild. I didn't see that.
Tony's on his team.
Yeah, I was watching it. I had my buddy over that's big jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
And undercards, a couple fights before,
Yeah.
his coach right over here on the octagon was in the ring after the guy won.
Yeah.
And so he talked about it. My buddy talked about how he's always on the mat. And my buddy's 275 pounds, black belt in jiu-jitsu, and fought this 190-pound top 10 in the world in jiu-jitsu. I mean, they rolled on the mat. He goes, this guy was so much better than me, and he dominated me. And he has, 85 pounds on him.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I like, he doesn't need to be humble, but he's a humble guy.
Right.
And I think people that do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, man, we're all going to be humbled no matter where we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
There will be a white belt that walks in. You've been training for years. There'll be a white belt that walks in, gets lucky and taps you. It's just life,
Yeah.
And in jiu-jitsu, they say that, as long as you, if you never lose if you learn.
Yeah.
Like if you're always winning if you're learning,
Yeah, and that's where I like what we're doing at Casa is like, man, we can learn from the mistakes. We aren't a perfect program. I think we offer great services, and I have a great team, and it's a great facility. But, man, we make mistakes all the time. Can we learn from those mistakes? You heard about a mistake from, one of my clinicians today. And I like how she was fired up about
I love
that.
it. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
Yeah, and the mistake was because Shannon screwed up the email. Oh.
I did. Well, I did, but I checked with our guy
Yes.
that's supposed to. Anyway, yeah. I admitted it. I owned it.
Well, and
It's
another,
fine.
sign of a healthy organization, nobody flew off the handle and said, "Who did this? Let's go have their head." It's like, we joked it, but
yeah.
you joked about it. You acknowledge it and fix it and spot correct, move on.
Right. Well, she felt safe sharing it. She didn't. She
Right.
knew somebody had done it. She didn't care who.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that I didn't take offense. I had forgotten to tell Kay. Anyway, yeah. So we straightened it out. But
That's the problem when you have a company with one guy. There's never anybody else who can take the blame.
I know,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all your
Yeah,
fault.
you're-
Kevin.
You're
It's my
always
fault.
at fault, Kevin.
Do
Always
you yell
your
at
fault.
yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reprimand
Kevin.
myself sometimes.
Right.
No, I did text Kevin. I go, our podcast isn't on iTunes. He goes, it will be this evening.
And he told us that
Yeah.
it's.
And I forgot he told me the week before that it
Yes.
would be at the night on Monday.
Yeah.
So I did reprimand him. I go, why isn't it on the podcast
Right.
app?
It will take till the evening, but it will be there.
But some of that is my ADD. I think of it and I throw a
Yes,
text
you do.
out.
Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
pause.
Which I understand. Always feel free to throw a text out. I don't take
Yeah,
it
he always
personally.
does.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate about that. But the cool thing is if you're listening to this episode and you don't have a treatment center or anything, it's good to get coaching. It's good to bring someone in to
For
give
sure.
you an outside perspective.
Well, and here's another thing is what I told Jamie about. Well, I haven't told you this yet, but I told him that I am a systems girl. I'm a calendar girl. Like and you don't have systems in your life, really.
Improvisational.
Yes, and you
I'm
have
improv.
You have your systems that are in your head, and we talked a little bit about that. But when you said you need to schedule in the your personal time too, like take your daughter to dinner
date
or
nights
date
and
night or
whatnot.
whatever, and everything with your spouse and exercise and things like that, but actually physically write it in your calendar. Well, that is my love language, if that is a love language. Like a calendar written down with everything written down.
I've made jokes that you make
Every-
list for list.
I do, but I
Yeah,
write
she's
down
one of those people.
I'll write down exercise. I even write what I'm going to try to have for dinner that
Yes.
night, to make sure that I have everything. And so I love that because I think everyone should maybe try to incorporate that in their lives, including you, Chico, who doesn't operate in a system like that. But we went to some marital counseling years ago. Was it after Beck was born? We had two
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah, we
and
had two
we just
kids.
need a little re-up.
did.
We need a little re-up.
For sure.
Figure out how to connect. But that was what the counselor suggested was like, you need to schedule some things, and so anyway, we did that, and it helped
Isn't it?
a
I
lot.
think intentionality is so important. It's and especially we have 4 kids and we both work full time, and time goes by.
Yeah.
And if you're not intentional, it's like, when's the last time we went on date night?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I think that intentionality
Instead
in
of just
life-
talking about it, we talked about it last week. We
Yeah.
have
Well,
these.
and we have 2 gift certificates
To
to
really
2
nice-
really nice restaurants in Dallas. One expires 2 years after the date that it's written, and we might be creeping up on it. 2
We
years.
need. Maybe we'll go this weekend.
Hey, let's pop it in the calendar right now. Let's practice what we
That's
preach.
we
Come
need
on.
to pop it.
I didn't
in
know
the
stuff like
calendar.
that expired.
Well,
They
this one
do.
does, and
That's
it
how they get
says,
you.
yeah, that's how they get you. But so
Let's do it Saturday night.
we have a wedding Saturday night,
That's right.
but we can get out the calendars.
Yes.
Drew, sweet Drew,
I know.
your
Drew,
fitness
our fitness instructor.
is getting married.
Yes.
Drew.
And yeah. So anyway, yes, but I just loved that. I think
I
that
don't need a
even-
calendar because you're my calendar.
I see that's the problem. See, I've
You're
been
my higher
codependent.
Yes.
I've been codependent for
That's
so
enabling.
long. It is enabling. Thank you, Kevin. See, Kevin's learning.
Well, because I'm in the same boat. My wife does the same thing.
But that is me being codependent because he.
Codependent, no
Do you have a
more.
family calendar? Like a Gmail? Like
I do.
the
but
West family at
I do.
gmail.com?
It's on here.
No, I mean,
Your
no.
family email, family calendars.
We got
Yes.
we got family text.
What he wants me to do, you can counsel us right now. What he wants me to do
He's
is
gonna
put
coach us.
stuff in his calendar for him. like I have access to his calendar on his iPhone, and he wants me.
I'm
to
not
put
gonna
it,
lie. I mean, I don't.
So maybe
you know,
I
my
should.
wife does that because,
I
you
could
know,
do
if
that, but
you know, Eloise has a doctor's, she'll pop it in there,
Yeah.
the kids' ball games and all that.
It's good.
Sounds like all the guys here are guilty
Yes.
of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
Well-
it goes both ways. I put things in there like I'm going to be out of town this day. I'm going to be and so it kind of works out to coordinate.
yeah, he doesn't really tell
that?
me.
I was really guilty of that. I would be like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be in New York City. That's not
That's what he
conducive to
does,
having
yeah.
4
Yeah.
kids. So
That's not real good.
Anyway.
we were talking about the organizational, and one of my good friends, Jeff Skillen, it was one of my coaches for a long time. There's like he said that there's kind of a spectrum of improvisational and then organizational, and how you work with somebody who's improvisational. It's like, myself and Chico.
Mm-hmm.
If we could add a little bit of focus to our, creativity and spontaneity, we could crush it, so
Yeah.
we need to add those things like a calendar, and then, somebody who's more on the organizational side and kind of buttoned up, add a few of the improvisational things.
Yes.
And so
I
Correct.
like that. I like that. I'm going to look into that. Think about that if you want to throw that in your little assessment.
throw it in there.
Throw
yeah.
it in there.
Yes. Well, good. Thank you for today.
yeah.
Anything else you want to wrap up? Anything else, Shannon?
No, I'm just looking forward to getting my paper calendar because I still use paper. And
Yes.
I'm looking forward to writing some stuff in there.
I would rather you use this, but okay.
Do you
Well,
have
see,
a-
but I can't
what's
do your
the-
system.
The Paisley Company, what is that called?
Oh, I don't.
You
But-
don't have that calendar?
No.
No, but she
Lily
has.
Pulitzer or
She,
something?
she
Yeah,
likes.
no.
She likes handwriting.
have
I
it.
wish she would type it in. She
I-
types all the time, but
Chico,
that's good.
I'm not changing my calendar.
But thank you, Jamie, and
you
we're
so much.
we're
Yes,
excited
thank
about
you.
what you're bringing to the Casa Calina team. Until
yeah.
next time, we're out.
Yes.